Good morning, everyone. Let's warm up by doing some singing, so please stand as you're willing and able. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope.
Don't give up hope.
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
Don't you give up.
Don't you give up.
Keep moving on.
Keep moving on.
You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes.
Lift up your eyes.
Don't you despair.
Don't you despair.
Look up ahead.
Look up ahead.
The path is there.
The path is there.
You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared.
I know you're scared.
And I'm scared too.
And I'm scared too.
But here I am.
But here I am.
Right next to you.
Right next to you. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love.
And
Lead with love.
courage,
Courage,
my friend.
my friend, you do not walk alone.
We will walk with you
Walk with you
and sing your spirit home. Justice,
justice,
my friend.
my friend,
You do not walk alone. We will walk with you
walk with you
and sing your spirit home. Freedom, my friend.
my friend,
You do not walk alone. We will walk with you
walk with you
and sing your spirit home. If not now, then when we do not walk alone. We will walk as one
walk as one
and sing your spirit home. If not now, then when we do not walk alone. We will walk as one and sing our spirit home. Thank you.
Welcome to First Universalist Church of Denver, a sanctuary for spiritual growth, community and connections, building the world we dream about together. For over 130 years, our church has been offering a liberal and liberating message to Metro Denver and beyond. And we're glad to continue that tradition with you here today. My name is Birch Q. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs, and I am honored to be this congregation's intern minister. We're so glad that you have joined us here this morning, you brave souls here in person, and you wise souls joining us from online, where I hope you are warm and cozy. After the service, please join us for coffee and conversation in the Hospitality Center. If you are new or newer, thank you for joining us today and spending your Sunday morning with us. Please help us get to know you better by filling out a visitor form at the welcome table outside these doors, or online if that's how you're joining us today. We will connect you with our weekly newsletter, Happenings, which is a great way to see the full breadth of what this community has to offer. In this moment, before we begin, I want to reflect with you on some of the ways that our community grows together and cares for one another. Whether this has been your spiritual home for many decades or just a couple of Sundays, whether you are a friend or a member here, we want to know about your experiences at First Universalist. As you've seen in Happenings and elsewhere, our Committee on Shared Ministry is gathering information about our congregation through a short survey. If you have not yet, please take a couple of minutes to complete this survey. What we learn from it will help our elected congregational leaders know what's working, what needs to change, and what needs deeper exploration. You can use the QR code on the screens to find the link and save it for later. Please respond to the survey by January 22nd, remembering what month we're in, so that our leaders can share the results at our winter congregational meeting next month. After today's service, please join us for our monthly potluck, where we gather together to share food and conversation with one another. Thank you to everyone who has brought something to share, and even if you haven't, I hope you will stay and eat with us anyway. We welcome people who are connected to a caring circle to join their circle's table. And if you are not part of a caring circle, you can find a table that has your zip code on it and join your neighbors there. As you may have seen in Happenings, we will not hold a potluck in February because of our winter congregational meeting. And in March, our monthly potlucks will move from the third Sunday of the month to the first Sunday. This weekend, we reflect on the life and lessons of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Joining us this morning to reflect in her own words on his life and legacy is our own member, Erica Stetson.
Good morning. My name's Erica Stetson, and I'm a member of the Racial Justice Task Force. I want to take this opportunity this morning to thank you, members of First Universalist, for the many wonderful things you have given me and my family, and I hope I can express this in the following words. My first experience with First Universalist outside of regular Sunday services was the MLK Parade. That was in 2005. I brought my two daughters, who were 4 and 2 at the time. When I got there, I was reminded of my dad and how he used to take my sister and I on these character-building activities. Character-building activities were events that he planned, sort of outdoor adventures with just a little bit of misery included, and that was supposed to create the character building. And the reason I was reminded of that was because it was very cold. And one thing I learned is that the parade doesn't start moving at the start time. There was a lot of standing and politicians talking and it was very cold. I thought I was prepared. I had the girls strapped into our double buggy. I had hats, gloves, hot chocolate even. But did I mention it was cold? And they were 4 and 2. There were some tears, mostly from the kids. But finally, the actual parade began. And I was happy to be with my people, the group who shared my new identity as a UU. But the roads were icy and slushy, and you have to imagine me trudging along with this double buggy stroller. And it was hard to keep up with my group. And if you're unfamiliar with the route of MLK, I'll explain that what happens is you start at the Martin Luther King statue in City Park, and then you walk past East High School, turn right on Colfax, and you walk down to the Capitol. And I had parked at East High School, and after we turned onto Colfax, it dawned on me that every step I took was taking me away from my car, which meant I had to repeat those steps to come back again. And we didn't make it to the Capitol that day. That's okay. We came back the next year, and it's become something of a family tradition. And this is us last year, and the reason why we're so bundled up is that it was -4 degrees. So I think we're on the braver, not wiser end of the congregation. I was reminded of why the parade is important to me and why it was important to me to do it with my congregation when Dan Moen shared a quotation with the Racial Justice Task Force. It's by Reverend Mark Morrison Reed. He says, "It is the church that assures us that we are not struggling for justice on our own, but as members of a larger community. The religious community is essential, for alone our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen. Together our vision widens and strength is renewed." I joined this church so that my daughters could have a community that encouraged them to think about their values and develop a strong sense of justice. Today, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all for being just that. And as proof that you've done a good job, I want you to know that my daughter Sophia is here every Sunday. And you might not see her because she's in the basement, volunteering in our FFRE program with the youth. And she'll be with me tomorrow at the parade. This year marks a significant Martin Luther King Day as it coincides with Inauguration Day. Recently, Holly Fulton, a member of the Racial Justice Task Force, shared an article with me of an interview with Dr. Bernice King, who is the youngest daughter of Martin Luther King. And she was asked in the interview about how she felt that Inauguration Day is falling on MLK Day. And she said this, "I'm glad that if it was going to happen, it happened on the King holiday, because Dr. King is still speaking to us. We cannot retreat or recoil. We have to commit ourselves to continuing the mission of protecting freedom, justice, and democracy in the spirit of my father." I hope that whatever you do tomorrow, you will find it personally meaningful. Thank you.
Please rise in body or spirit, and let's sing our opening hymn.
Do when the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. Spirit says do. Spirit says do. Spirit says do. Spirit says says yes. Spirit says yes. Spirit says yes. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. 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 Spirit says
The opening words this morning are by Reverend Gretchen Haley. In a world that feeds on moral outrage, we are here to cultivate moral courage. In a time that prizes picking sides, we gather to draw a wider circle, and in a culture that teaches us to get for what we give and to ask, what's in it for me, we come to practice generosity and to remember we are all in this together. In the midst of life's bitterness, we choose to sing, to give thanks, to laugh together, to be keepers of beauty, to offer a place of belonging for all who come in gladness and in pain, to resist the push to the next moment, and the next to slow down, to breathe more deeply, to feel a part of something greater. Let us be the change we wish to see. Please join me in the words for the lighting of our chalice. They'll be up on the screen. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, to serve human need, and to help one another.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Naomi, and I'm your Director of Religious Education, and I do have a story for you today. So any of my littles or young at heart that want to come up, I will have slides. I will have slides for you and pictures up here on the screen. Hello, my darling, how are you? Maybe, there we go. If we don't touch it, maybe it'll do the thing. Hello, my friends. I have a story for you today. It's one of my absolute favorites, and I wish I would have had this story when I was your age. It is called I Am Enough, and it's by Grace Byers. Now, a little bit about me. Oh, if we can, I swear I'm going to get it right. I'm going to find the right head placement. A little bit about me is I grew up in a biracial, multicultural household. I know, those are some big words there. Basically what it means is my mom is European American and my dad is Hispanic Mexican American. And so we had a lot of different colors in my house. We had a lot of different hairstyles in my house. And the way that we took care of our skin was different. I swear I'm going to get it. And so this story talks about how all of those different things, I don't know what I'm doing, you guys, all of those different things really was to show how different we were, but how well and how loved we all were through it. So this is a story about how this little girl is enough and how we each are enough. Like the sun, I am here to shine. Like the voice, I'm here to sing. Like the bird, I'm here to fly and soar high over everything. Like the trees, I'm here to grow. And the mountains, I'm not sure what this is doing. Like the mountains, I'm here to stand. Like time, I'm here to be and be everything that I can. Like the champ, I'm here to fight. Like the heart, I'm here to love. Like a ladder here to climb, and like the air to rise above. Like the wind, I'm here to push. Like a rope, I'm here to pull. Like the rain, I'm here to pour and drip and fall until I'm full. Like the moon, I'm here to dream. Like the student, I'm here to learn. Like the water, here to swell. Like the fire, I'm here to burn. Like the winner, I'm here to win, and if I don't, I'm gonna get up again. I know that I may sometimes cry, but even then, I'm here to try. I'm not meant to be like you, and you're not meant to be like me. Sometimes we will get along, and sometimes we will disagree. I know that we don't look the same, our skin, our eyes, our hair, our frame. But that does not dictate our worth. We both have places here on earth. And in the end, we are right here to live a life of love and not fear, to help each other when it's tough, to say together, I am enough. So it does not, thank you, we worked through it, thank you. So whether you have straight, hello my friends, hands to yourselves, whether or not we have straight blonde hair or bright pink curly hair, whether we go out into the world and we have our dream job or the one that just helps us to get by, whether you have a really, really big house or you have one that's small and comfortable and filled with love, either way, know that you are enough each and every day. All right, my friends, we are going to go to our classrooms. I'm going to have you stand up and we're going to learn about Jainism today.
Whether you're joining us online or joining us in person, we take time each week to pause for the spiritual practice of generosity. Sometimes those gifts make possible the heat that is alive and well in this space on this cold, cold day. And sometimes it goes to partners beyond our walls. This week, we give our Compassion in Action offering away to the Living Systems Institute. To tell us more about it, Michael Schub.
Good morning. My name is Michael Schub. I grew up in this church, and my parents, Rick and Marianne, are here today. I'm also on the board of Living Systems Institute, an organization located in Golden, about 1,000 feet from Jefferson Unitarian Church. Living Systems Institute's mission is to produce abundance, heal the earth, and restore the understanding that each individual's well-being is closely linked to the well-being of the natural environment and our broader community. Towards this mission, we debuted last year our Four Seasons Gardening Program, a 4-part series of free, hands-on workshops demonstrating that we can all grow food, create habitat, and cultivate beauty in every season in our own backyards with the resources we already have on hand. Things like fallen tree limbs, leaves, logs, and other yard waste. Currently, we're working to revamp what we call the Re-Inhabit Cooperative, which offers training and business support for gardeners and allows homeowners to turn their yards into thriving ecosystems at a fraction of the cost of conventional landscaping. Like UUs at Living Systems Institute, we believe in the interdependent web of all existence, and we carry an understanding that caring for the environment is caring for ourselves. We trace our origins to 2004, when a man named David Braden sold his law practice and began to patiently cultivate ecosystems and communities in West Metro Denver. I first met David as a participant in a scything workshop he offered. In the rising June heat, I clumsily wielded this tool more often associated with the Grim Reaper, as David enumerated the many surprising benefits of using a scythe to cut the hay in his backyard. When completed, the hay would form a modest mound next to the chicken coop, a convenient location to pitchfork it into the coop as bedding for the hens throughout the year. Over the last 20 years, David has offered countless free urban farming workshops, mentored dozens of aspiring gardeners, and authored the book, Cook What You Grow, a cookbook for living a connected life. Last fall, he experienced a recurrence of lung cancer after several years in remission. He contracted pneumonia and entered hospice that October. Amazingly, gratefully, he is still with us today. Each day he is here is a gift. David and the board have appointed a new executive director, Caroline Savory, who is a passionate and capable community organizer and development professional. She brings renewed enthusiasm and leadership to the organization, and throughout last year, she generated significant momentum, clarity, community, and resources. In this new year, Caroline will continue to guide Living Systems Institute as we transition into a post-founder era. As a small nonprofit with a limited budget, the money from the collection today will have a significant effect on our ability to carry on the work David began. With your support, our goals are to refine and expand the Re-Inhabit Gardeners Cooperative, shift administrative responsibilities out of David's hands, and we expect memorialize his life as a citizen of the earth, a member of our community, and the founder of Living Systems Institute. We will now receive the Compassion in Action offering. Thank you for your generosity.
Sleep, sleep tonight, and may your dreams be realized. If the thundercloud passes rain, so let it rain, rain down on him. So let it be. So let it be. If the thunder cloud passes rain, so let it rain. Let it rain. Rain on him.
We gather together for comfort and guidance in one another's company. In the middle of this hour, in the middle of our lives, we pause as a community for stillness and contemplation. Please join me in a guided meditation. Find your center wherever you are. Close your eyes if that helps you do so. Straighten your back so you can breathe deeply, but don't strain. Rest your hands in your lap, at your sides, however you can to let your muscles relax. Breathe in deep, down into your belly. Breathe out deeply, letting go of all your tension, all your distractions. Breathe in, breathe out. Imagine this. You are waking up in the gray, tender hours of the morning. You are comfortable in the warmth of your bed. But something stirs inside you. You breathe in deep, and letting out your breath, you know it's time to wake up. You have slept long enough. You start to hear the world around you, which never stopped its whirring while you slept. You feel it rumbling through your bones, urging you to wake up. You feel the rumbling of a world that has not stopped moving, not stopped hurting, not stopped changing as you sleep. The rumbling calls you back to the world, to wake up. And as you come back into the world, you ask yourself, as another sage has, what improbable task, with which unpredictable results shall we undertake today? Breathe in deep and breathe out with a sigh. Come back into the room. Feel your hands, your feet, your body in the chair, in this space we share together. As you come back, ask yourself, as Sharon Welch has, what improbable task, with which unpredictable results shall we undertake today? Together we tend to the joys and sorrows of our world, near and far. We hold loved ones and strangers together in care, as we approach 2 weeks since the Palisades and Eaton fires began in Los Angeles. May we bring peace to those who mourn and suffer. May we bring care and healing to those who dearly need it. May all of us find the loving kindness that is ours to share. May we open our hearts and minds to encircle with love and care all in our community and beyond. Our care associate today is Sheila Neitzel. You will find her in the back of the sanctuary in a purple stole. Please talk with her if you have a pastoral need to share with someone. As the days unfold before us, if you have any joy or sorrow to share, please be sure to email Reverend Eric and the CARES team. How good it is to love and be loved, to care and be cared for by one another. Peace. Amen. So may it be.
Our reading this morning is from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Don't sleep through the revolution. One of the great misfortunes of history is that all too many individuals and institutions find themselves in a great period of change and yet fail to achieve the new attitudes and outlooks that the new situation demands. There's nothing more tragic than to sleep through a revolution. And there can be no gainsaying of the fact that a social revolution is taking place in our world today. We see it in other nations in the demise of colonialism. We see it in our own nation in the struggle against racial segregation and discrimination. And as we notice this struggle, we are aware of the fact that a social revolution is taking place in our midst. Victor Hugo once said that there is nothing more powerful in all the world than an idea whose time has come. The idea whose time has come today is the idea of freedom and human dignity, and so all over the world we see something of freedom explosion, and this reveals to us that we are in the midst of revolutionary times. An old order is passing away, and a new order is coming into being.
We always pause on this particular weekend of the year to go back and check in with Dr. King. It's kind of a tradition in our congregations, many congregations of many denominations. King, of course, was not a Unitarian Universalist. He was a Baptist, just like the Baptist we were talking about last week. But that is actually not the thing I want you to focus on just now. What I want you to know is that although he was a Baptist minister, and that was an important part of his life and his identity, that he was also a person with a long and deep connection to Unitarian Universalism. When he was a graduate student, he did his graduate theological studies in Boston, and when he was there, he and Coretta quite regularly attended church at the Arlington Street Church, the Unitarian congregation once served by William Ellery Channing for a good solid 37 years. And while he was there, he got to know the future president, the then pastor of Arlington Street Church, a man named Dana McLean Greeley. He was later elected president, the very first president of the Unitarian Universalist Association. And it was King who went to Selma, of course, so famously, along with about a quarter of all of the standing Unitarian Universalist ministers at the time. And when one of them, a man named James Reeb, was beaten to death for his work to bring about nonviolent social change and to protest against racial segregation and discrimination, it was Dr. King who gave his eulogy. And in a text that you won't find much in his gathered collections, it's easy to find his books. They were actually published by our own Unitarian Universalist Beacon Press, but you will not often find included in them the text that you just heard Cynthia share with us. It's from a lecture he gave to our people. It was 1966, and then President Greeley had invited him to be the Ware lecturer at our General Assembly. And in that message, he shared his thoughts about not sleeping through the revolution. Now, the specific issues that he was addressing in that particular moment, of course, have shifted and changed. It is not 1966, it is 2025. But it is still, I think, the case that there is a revolution that is going on in this world, and that is just as true today as it was 60 years ago. And the question, the choice that we face here in this space, in our lives, in our homes, in our families, in our neighborhoods, the question that we face is whether or not we will do something with it and about it, or whether we will huddle under the warm blankets of personal and private comfort and just hope that things turn out okay. And so the option that this church has committed itself to, the option that we as a people have committed ourselves to, is the option that says that we keep on learning and listening. We keep on growing and building the world we dream about together. It's the words of that recently adopted mission statement right here at First Universalist. Now, I found myself, and perhaps you've already asked yourself this question, I found myself wondering if it was in fact Dr. King with his message, "Don't sleep through the revolution," that was the source of the idea about being woke that has been the subject of so much conversation in recent years. Now, it turns out it wasn't actually his original creation. In fact, the idea of staying awake when things are shifting and changing has a deep and long history, dating back at least as far as the 1860 election of President Lincoln, and was used by plenty of African American cultural leaders talking about staying awake throughout the 20th century. But in recent years, we have all heard the ways that some of the core values, so many of them that we hold here in this church and in other churches like it, values like the shared and common humanity of all people, the right to equal treatment both under the law and in society at large, the freedom from government interference in the privacy of your home and in your health care, a commitment to looking at the data and asking about what is really going on, not just what people say is going on. Those values and so many more, we've heard those values labeled as wokeness. And often Depending on who is saying it, we have heard that being denigrated and described as performative, derisive. Oh, don't hang out with them. They're so woke. Right? And that's not what King meant when he told those Unitarian Universalists so many years ago not to sleep through the revolution. What he meant was that the world was shifting around us and that it was our job, it was our responsibility to not just let the world pass us by, but to be an active participant in the change, in the conversation, to listen and to learn along the way, all of us. He opened his remarks by hearkening back to that old Washington Irving tale. Some of you will remember it, about Rip Van Winkle. Those of you who don't know it, it's a story about a man who goes on a hike in the woods. He lies down to rest and wakes up only to realize that 20 years have passed by. And King said that much in that story was about and understood about the things that had changed around him, but King found himself drawn to this very specific detail. He said what we often fail to notice in that story is that not only has Rip Van Winkle's beard grown long and his community gone on with their lives, but that when he left town that fateful day, there was a portrait up in the city of the leader of King George III. And when he came back, the portrait had changed. And now it was George Washington instead. Van Winkle had slept through the revolution. One of the great misfortunes of history, King said, is that all too many individuals and institutions find themselves in a great period of change and yet fail to achieve the new attitudes and outlooks that the new situation demands. There is nothing more tragic, he said, than to sleep through a revolution. The world has changed. The world is still changing, and each and every day, every single one of us, you, me, all of us, we are all asked in one way or another whether we are changing with it, responding in ways with creativity and love to the new possibilities that are emerging. Now look, I am not one to say that every change is good. I am not one to say that every shift or election or policy or technology is good. I'm not here to say those things to you. But I am here to say that with his words to us so many years ago, King offered up the essence of that core teaching and the particulars of what he thought it meant that year, in that place, in that time. He said, and this should feel familiar to you, he said that all life is interrelated. Somehow we're all tied together. For some strange reason, I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. This interrelated structure of all reality, he said, John Donne caught it years ago and placed it in graphic terms. No man is an island entire of itself. No man is a piece of the continent. Every man, he said, is a piece of the continent, a piece of the main. And he went on to say that any man's death diminishes me, because I am involved in mankind, and therefore send not to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. This realization, he said, is absolutely necessary if we are to remain awake through the revolution. But he said that nearly 60 years ago, right? And here we are still struggling with that core piece of teaching. Just a couple of weeks ago, right here in this space, we gathered for an event that was part of something with people from lots of different faith communities, Jewish communities, and various Unitarian Universalists, and also the good people of For His Glory Christian Fellowship, a black church out in Aurora. And we gathered here in this place that was filled with people who had come to build community and to make atonement for the sins of racism and bigotry that are part of our national history. And while we were sitting in these chairs, the ones that you're sitting in right now, Pastor Martin of For His Glory looked out at us from right about here. And he noted that even in that moment, we had still segregated ourselves. No, not perfectly, not exactly 100%, but basically all the folks from For His Glory, all of the black folks in the room were in this block of chairs, and all of the white folks were over in this block of chairs. And he said, if we can't do this here, how can we do it in the world around us? He said, we have to get up and cross over. To get up and cross over. That though those lines were not clear, we had to figure out how to do it. And we did. But we have to do it again and again and again. We're human beings. We want to be around people who are like us. We don't mean to be rude. We just like people who are like us. It's not about being hurtful or mean, but we like being around people who we feel comfortable with. Psychologist Catherine Kinsler put it in the opening of a book of hers a few years ago that we are fundamentally, as human beings, joiners. But in doing so, we create social divisions. She said decades of social psychology research on intergroup and interpersonal relations suggest that we simply cannot turn off our category detectors, which divide the world into us and them. And in this day and age, there are partisans on every side who encourage us not to just notice when we aren't crossing over, but to come up with the reasons why we should disown one another forevermore. To not just notice our category detectors, but to tell us that we should see them as reasons to fight one another, instead of seeing them as reasons to learn how we can both be holy ourselves and welcome the diversity of experience of views that enrich our lives. Not everyone is here the same. And we are not here to make everyone the same. We are not here to make everyone like ourselves, nor are we here to give up on what uniquely makes us who we are, but we are here to stay awake long enough to find the strength in the differences between us and the comfort where we overlap, as the folk singer Ani DeFranco put it so memorably years ago. And so my encouragement to myself, my encouragement to you, my encouragement to each and every one of us is that in this place that is trying so hard to build real and intergenerational community, including people of many backgrounds of experiences, that one of the ways that says that people who are trying to divide us is by saying that the revolution that is unfolding around us, and we are asked to take away what it means to be us. We are asked to take away some sense of us and them, but instead we can ask a new question. We can ask what's happening if people are truly who they are. We can ask the question, what if the changes in the ways that people talk about their lives and their experience and their truth can be right there, side by side, with each of our own lives and our experiences and our truths? Sometimes it comes in the way we talk or the words that we use, in the way that some people want to turn back the clock on progress and building a shared understanding of humanity that includes people of every race and kind, every gender and identity. And here, where we say that we are all equally worthy in the world, we push back. Don't be so woke. Stay awake, my friends. Those words, those changes are often experienced as being a question that asks us to stop being who we are. But that's not what they're about. They're about asking us to make room for everyone, to avoid assuming that changes in the world are somehow automatically a sign of moral decay and decline, and to remember that we too could be the Rip Van Winkles of the world, or we can be the people who rise to the true meaning of those words that we share, remembering the worth and dignity of every person, and to make true the claim, to make true that claim, that all people are created equal. Now look, tomorrow there is an inauguration, and we will swear in a president who ran ads that cast his opponent as un-American and out of touch and, quite frankly, too woke. She's for they, them, I'm for you, he said so famously. And I know that a lot of us here right now are worried about what's coming. And I know a lot of us are scared and angry about what's happening. And I am not here to say that absolutely everything will be okay. But I am here to say that we have a choice about what we do with the revolution that has been going on my whole life and continues still. And I believe that if we are to truly honor the life and the legacy of Dr. King, we would do well to remember the words said by his mentor and the founder of the very first intentionally interracial integrated church in America, the Fellowship for All People, the Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman. On that night, that painful and awful night when King had been gunned down, Dr. Thurman went on the radio, and he said, "Tonight there's a vast temptation to strike out in pain, horror, and anger." Riding just under the surface, he said, all the pent-up fury, the accumulation of a generation's cruelty and brutality. A way must be found to honor our feeling without dishonoring him, whose sudden and meaningless end has called him forth. And then Thurman went on. He said, "May we harness the energy of our bitterness and make it available to the unfinished work which Martin has left behind. It just may be that what he was unable to bring to pass in his life can be achieved by the act of his dying. For this there is," he said, "some eloquent precedence in human history." He was not killed in one sense because mankind is not human yet. He was killed in one sense because mankind is not human yet. May he live because all of us in America are coming closer to becoming human than ever we were before. We can't control everything. It's one of the great disappointments of childhood, that realization that adulthood is not about getting our way. But what we can control, what we have the power to control, is what we choose to do with what happens around us and even to us. May we become more kind to our fellow people. May we live more fully the promise of America that never was and yet must be, in the words of Langston Hughes. May we keep listening to one another and learning from one another and crossing over with one another this weekend, yes, and next weekend, and the one after that, and the one after that. And as we do, may we do it remembering the closing words that Dr. King shared with us so many years ago. He said, "I've not despaired of the future. I believe firmly that we can solve this problem. And there are days of glorious opportunity. I know there are still difficult days ahead, he said. And they are also days of glorious opportunity. Our goal for America, he said, is freedom. Abused and scorned though we may be, our destiny is tied up with America's. Before the Pilgrim Fathers landed at Plymouth, we were here. Before Jefferson etched across the pages of history the words I just quoted from the Declaration of Independence, we were here. Before the beautiful words of the Star-Spangled Banner were written, we were here. For more than 2 centuries, he said, our forebears labored here without ages. They made cotton king. They built the homes of their masters in the midst of the most oppressive and humiliating conditions, and yet, he said, out of a bottomless vitality, they continued to grow and develop. If the inexorable cruelty of slavery couldn't stop us, the opposition we face now will surely fail. We're going to win our freedom both because of the sacred heritage of our nation and the eternal will of the Almighty God embodied in our echoing demands. And we can sing, we shall overcome, because somehow we know that the arc of the moral universe is long, but that it bends towards justice. If he who faced so many threats and challenges far greater than most of us did not despair of the future, then neither should we. If he believed we could solve America's problems, so do I. Friends, may we walk together, you and I, and bend that arc with the glory of connection, community, and spiritual growth together as one human family, now and in the many days ahead.
Please rise and follow the Spirit for a closing hymn.
As you take your seats, would you join us in extinguishing the chalice with the words as they appear on the screen? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts together again. Friends, it is cold outside, but there is a warmth that lives in our hearts, and we can spread it far and wide. So whether you're coming to join us at the potluck, going home to cuddle under a blanket, marching in the parade, or just protesting privately tomorrow in the quiet of your home, go and be blessed and be a blessing.